Some of the latest news I've been seeing suggests that the gaming industry is already starting the cycle of preparing gamers to pay even more for the next console generation. They've got 2 to 3 years to do that job, so they're right on schedule. What a start to 2026. With RAM prices being every PC gamer's highest appreciating asset right now, the word on the street is that current console prices are going to increase as AI eats up the worldwide RAM supply like a famished Chromium tab. Not only that, of course, as a result of RAM prices, next-gen consoles will be both expensive and delayed. What a continuously depressing trend for gamers right now. I ranted about game prices in my latest video and talked a lot about how companies prepare the consumer over time for those price hikes. Check it out on my channel or the description below if you want some further context. But really, I'm asking you guys, am I the only one low on hype for the next generation of consoles? What are we expecting to see? Actual games for the damn thing this time? Diminishing returns on impressive hardware is catching up. Playing that card is getting very old to me. It would appear we're looking at even less competition with Xbox dying off altogether when it comes to hardware releases. I look around the industry and get cynical because it seems like game companies are going to need to do a lot of work to convince customers of the need for another round of consoles and the prices they're going to charge for them as well. Let's look at the current landscape. Nintendo just released their Switch 2 console half a year ago, keeping to their strategy of releasing in between the generation cycle that Xbox and PlayStation had previously adhered to. Now, Nintendo offered what is effectively the Switch 1 experience, but with hardware that, doesn't bottleneck consumers and developers to such a crazy degree. In some ways, you could argue Nintendo is fairly caught up to modern hardware, at least when you consider the mobile aspects of the console as well. Nintendo have experienced less diminishing returns from hardware scaling because they're very simply put still catching up when it comes to raw hardware power. They've been able to sell the experience of their previous console in quite a unique way. This has provided Nintendo with the incredible opportunity to still be able to release a new console with very noticeable visual improvements to gameplay experiences their fans are already familiar with. PlayStation and the console previously known as Xbox, on the other hand, have always been much more, about talking up powerful hardware and have historically made pushing the limits of, graphical fidelity a focal point of their console launch marketing campaigns. The first thought that comes to mind is that PlayStation has their work cut out for them when it comes to impressing with hardware in the next generation. As I said before, graphical fidelity is experiencing extreme diminishing returns right now. The second thought, however, is acknowledging the fact that the slow death of Xbox has made PlayStation's path to greater console market share much, much clearer. Less competition is not historically awesome for us consumers. Xbox allegedly bowing out of the console market really does mean PlayStation can likely get away with less to capture those who were previously Xbox gamers. I think of all the gaming platforms, the greatest overlap of game interest is between PlayStation and Xbox gamers. So it only makes sense to assume PS will snatch up more of them than, say, Nintendo. Hey, you never know, PC/Steam is always the dark horse held together by Gabe's goodwill. But back to consoles for now. The dominant console manufacturer at any one time in history is rarely the nice guy when it comes to treating their customers well. It usually takes the pressure of the number two offering better customer experiences to light a fire under number one's ass. The loss of Xbox makes me fairly nervous about a weird console split between Nintendo and PlayStation. So what's the next big thing console manufacturers going to sell us anyway? I'm actually asking you guys, by the way, again, comment or something so I can understand better what you'd actually give a shit about. Smaller pixels and perhaps finally a frame rate over 60? I don't doubt Sony's ability to convincingly put lipstick on a pig. People will still 100% still go, wow, amazing when the next gen trailer drops. I'm not entirely dumb, just very, very cynical. And, what are the prices even going to be like? $100 games for a $1,000 console? Look, we can be real here. Console manufacturers are shitting themselves along with the rest of the games industry. Gamers are not spending more in the current market, and actual game spending is looking to potentially dip even lower than pre-COVID numbers. This includes all the microtransactions that are already shoved down your throat. Look, I'm not cheering for the downfall of any company industry here. I love video games, but it seems every day I'm reminded of the sheer amount of bloat and bubbles that seem to be just waiting to burst in this industry. Like and subscribe and let me know what piece of gaming news you want me to discuss next. I'm looking into how publishers classify different gamer purchasing behavior right now, so keep an eye out for that video if you want to see how you're, contributing to publishers being afraid to raise their prices. You might fall into a couple categories. Thanks for your time and your comments. Have a good one.